Hi guys, I'm Anton. Welcome to the last video from our JUnit course. Don't forget to subscribe to the 𝗓𝗏𝗘𝗧𝗘 channel. Hit the ring bell so that you get notified about many awesome videos that we upload each week. Also, check below because there are many awesome links there with resources, and you can download all the source code that we are working on during this course from the GitHub repo. And let's begin. Let me share my screen. In the course till now, we talked about what is JUnit. Then I explained how you can set up JUnit environment with IntelliJ and how you can run your tests from command line. Also, if you haven't watched some of the videos, you will find links below in the description. So make sure that you watch everything previously, because I start from the very beginning, but we're working through many advanced topics during the course, and it will be helpful even for more senior people. In the third video, we talked about many annotations, part of the JUnit framework. Later, we talked about the assertions, data-driven tests with many examples. It's a really huge topic. Then I showed you how you can run your tests in parallel, thread safe. And in chapter 7 and 8, we talked about how you can run the tests in the cloud and utilize the power of the cloud, of the 𝗓𝗏𝗘𝗧𝗑 platform, and how you can use their geolocation testing feature, which is really awesome. And now, in the last chapter of the course, we're going to talk about the batch object model pattern. In short, we mentioned it in the previous videos, but now we're going to look and work in 3 different variations of it. During the course, we looked into this website with to-do applications, basically written in different web technologies. This is our main page where we have the different technologies with their names. And when you click on a particular technology, basically you have the to-do application where you can type to-do items. We check, how many items have left. And why I'm explaining this, because in the page object model design pattern, we are grouping the element sections and everything inside different classes that are basically wrapping all the actions, assertions, and elements for a particular URL, for a particular web page. This is the thing that we are going to do. I'm going to call this screen to do up page, and this will be our main page, right? So let's begin. For simplicity, basically, I removed some of the other patterns so that the code is much cleaner, right? And this is our to-do test class. Basically, we are using WebDriver Manager to download the Chrome driver. Before each test, we are setting we're starting the Chrome browser. If you're using the 𝗓𝗏𝗘𝗧𝗑 platform and you want to run your tests in parallel or in the cloud, the place to put everything from Selenium desired capabilities generator, all of this code here, is basically you need to put it here into the before each, and you need to make sure that you close the session in the after each method, basically, which is executed after each test. So this is our test. As you can see, there is much repetition, especially if you need to create many variations of this test with different data. And this is how, and imagine that in many cases we have more than one test class. And this means that everywhere you have to copy paste these methods and locators and everything, which is a pity. And this is why we use the page object design pattern to reuse the locators, to reuse the actions, and to create some kind of a DSL, domain specific language, to make our tests more readable. So I created here. We're going to now use the pattern to make our tests more readable. And I'm going to show you 3 versions of it. This is why I created 3 packages. In version 1, I'm going to create one class that I'm going to name main page. I'm going to add it to source control. And basically for each page for now, we're going as private variables, or this is called composition. We are going to hold instances to WebDriver and WebDriver weight, and we are going to pass it into the constructor. Then we'll have one method called open to open the page. And next, for this particular page, we will have only this method here, and we will need this private method wait and find element. So first, I'm going to copy the private method wait and find element. Don't worry, in the next versions, we are going to make sure that we don't repeat code, but step by step, we're going to improve it so that you understand why we do it. So now I have this public method open technology, and the next thing will be to create the app to the app page. I'm going to add it again through composition. I'm going to initialize the driver, the WebDriver weight, and the actions. I will have similar open method if you need to open it, and then we will have all of the private methods from our test here, this one, and the validate inner text, because we'll have assertions here. Some people don't prefer to, by the way, to put assertions inside the page objects, but sometimes I find it useful so that you can reuse the exception messages, right? So it's a matter of choice. And the next thing will be to put all of the 4 methods that we used before, to put them here. To have assertion, get item checkbox, open technology, add new to do item. And the next thing will be to create a class called to do page objects with tests. Right here. Of course, we are going to initialize the driver as we talked before. And we will need, of course, after each method to close it, and we'll have before each method setup to start the Chrome driver. So here is the place where we will initialize and start the Chrome browser. We initialize the WebDriver weight with this constant here for the timeout, which is 30 seconds, the actions class. And then this is the place where every time we are initializing the main page and the to-do app page. This is how the test worked. We have all of these methods here, and this is the test without page objects. And now, if we need to change it, it's just, let me show you how it works with page objects. Basically, again, we are using value source annotation to run it with data-driven. And now, first we call main page open to open the page, open the technology. And as you can see, this is quite readable because you know on which particular screen you are. We are adding new to-do items. If I need to create a new class, I'm just going to use the same page object. If I need to change the locators, I'm just going here. In a minute, we are going to refactor it a bit so that we separate the actions from the elements, because now we cannot reuse these locators here if you need to do with the same element an assertion and an action, and it's a little bit more messy if you don't separate them. But anyhow, as you can see, the test class looks much cleaner, it's more readable. And now in version 2, I'm going to create a base page called web page here in version 2. Web page, in order to reuse these private methods here, the wait and find, the validate inner text, also the open method, right? So here first, I'm going to add these three. The WebDriver, of course, we need to initialize them in the constructor. Then we need to add getters to them, public getters. The next thing is that I'm going to show you one more pattern. It's called template method. The template method, it's basically a pattern where now if we create a void method called open, sometimes we need to wait for particular, in order to wait for the page to load. Sometimes we can use the WebDriver wait for particular element to appear. And this is why we can add here the possibility for this template method for each child class to override it, and to mention for which element we need to wait there. The next thing will be here, of course, to call the URL. But since this is an abstract class, I'm going to make it abstract so that we don't be able to create instances of it. I'm going to add a protected abstract getter for the URL so that every child class needs to implement it. And the second thing is the so-called template method, which is basically, as you can see, an empty protected method which every child class can override, so that it can put logic just after opening of the page to load for these particular elements. And the next thing is to move the two private methods from the to-do app page here, the wait and find and validate inner text. But this time I'm going to make them protected so that we can use them in the child classes. And let's see how we can use them. I'm going to create now again main page. I'm going to add it, and I'm going to extend the web page. And of course, we need to add the constructor. And now, as you can see, I don't have anymore the two private variables here for the WebDriver and WebDriver wait. Instead, we are calling the super constructor of the web page, and every time I need to pass the three, the driver, the WebDriver wait, and the actions, we are using the override notation to override the abstract getter and mentioning the URL. And of course, I will have again the public method open technology. And we'll do something similar for the to-do page. I'm going to add it to source control. I'm going to extend the web page, and we'll have the same constructor and implementation of the get URL. And afterwards, we have only the public methods from before without the two private methods. That's it. And now, if I need to show you the usage, it's basically if I just copy paste this version, it will basically stay absolutely. Of course, here I'm going to change which pages do we use, but the usage should stay the same. However, we are using much more version 2. What is going on? Actions, main page. Yeah, we need to fix the usages here, like that. And as you can see, the usage stays the same, but we reused many of the private methods through this protected methods from the web page, right? pretty cool, right? And now in version 3, I'm going to show you one more thing. I usually like to separate, as I said, especially here, you can see it now inside the actions. We have everywhere the elements and what we do and how we assert it. I prefer to separate this into 3 files: map, assertions, and actions. This is why I usually, for each page, create a separate package. I'm going to name this main page, and then I'm going to create one more that I'm going to call view page. And inside the main page, I'm going just to move. I'm going to copy these two. We change the now. What else? The main page will stay basically the same, so I can just copy paste it, which is completely fine. Because here we don't need just for one element to make a separate class, right? You can refactor it as a homework, but I'm going to show you how to do it for the to-do page, which is much bigger. And now I'm going to create a new class that I'm going to name map. Map is basically comes from element map. Many people use it for naming classes that basically hold element locators and getters for the elements. Here we're going to hold an instance again through. We can make it even more abstract to have a base class for the map and for the assertions, but for now we'll keep it simple just to show you the idea. Through composition, we'll hold an instance to the WebDriver weight. And here I will have to move this weight and find element. Again, you can have a base map and put it there. And afterwards, we'll have one getter called results_span for the results here. The results_span is this thing here. Basically, I created a getter for it, but I'm skipping the prefix get and just call it results_span to make the code more readable. And as I said, we'll have something similar for the rest of the elements part of this screen. One for get item checkbox, or you can name it just item checkbox, and for the technology app. Sometimes when we are building complex locators through string format and using XPath, whatever, it's completely fine here to pass arguments inside the map. And the next thing will be to create a separate class for the assertions. I'm going to name this assertions. It's completely fine for each page to have a map and an assertion because they are in a separate package, so you don't have a name conflict there, right? Again, through composition, we're going to use the map and the WebDriver weight. And we need the WebDriver weight because here we need to move this validate inner text here. Again, you can create a base class for the assertions. For now, we'll keep it simple and I will leave it like this. And I moved here the public method assert left items. What I did here. All right, here I missed one of the brackets. Now it's fine. And now the last part will be how to use this tool inside the page object. I'm going to add it to source control. Again, we need to extend the web page, and we need to import it from version 3. And we need to override it and call the super constructor. And now I'm going to create first, I will create a special getter for the mapper. that I'm going to call map. Again, I'm missing the get keyword from the prefix, and I'm passing the WebDriver weight that comes from the web page. Every time we can create a new map. This is pretty fast, so don't worry. It's completely safe and fast. And we'll create a similar getter for the assertions where we require the WebDriver weight and the map. Basically, here every time we're going to create it. And the only action method that left actually here for do this to-do up page is the add new to-do item. And if we go here, basically we will have to refactor a bit the tests, because right now we are using version 2 here. Yeah, here we need to remove them, and here we are going to use version 3. Version 3, import version 3. And now, as you can see, we don't have now, in order to get this element, in order to click it, we need to call first the map. I'm going to rename this to, as I said, the folder convention. We don't need the get prefix. And in order to call the assertions, we need to call the getter assertions like this. It's up to you whether to make, especially the map, public. It may be useful to make it private, but then for each of these methods, you, for example, in order to click this, you have to create a wrapper for them. For example, clicking item checkbox or whatever. So I prefer to, expose my maps publicly. So it's up to you. And as you can see, it's much more concise, much more readable. So yeah, these were the things that I wanted to show you. This is maybe the most useful design pattern in automated testing. So you need to learn it pretty well, and you need to choose which variation you will use. It was an honor for me to take this journey with you to learn JUnit in Selenium. I hope that these presentations were useful to you. Don't forget to check the Lambda test blog, because there is a whole written tutorial for JUnit with many awesome articles. If you have comments, put them below the video, or download the source code from the links below. You can put an issue on GitHub. You can find me always on LinkedIn. Feel free to write and chat. And don't forget to get your Lambda test certification about JUnit and Selenium. Take care. I wish you best of luck in your career. See you soon in other courses.